Mike, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Now, this is everybody's worst nightmare come true, to have someone just disappear into thin air. Can you just paint a picture for us of what these situations are like and what happens in these situations?
Well, of course, there'll be a senior investigating officer. They'll have a command structure, so you'll have a gold commander who's probably one of the most senior officers on the island. And then there'll be a silver commander, somebody like a detective superintendent who'll be in charge of the actual investigation and will be looking at all aspects of this. And then you have various people in charge of what they call bronze units, the inspectors. So there'll be an inspector in charge of the sort of dog section, an inspector in charge of the helicopters and other searches and drones. And all these, they'll have a daily meeting, if not more, and they'll be tasked to different areas or different areas of the investigation. And of course, you can see here the actual the place to be searched is very, very difficult terrain, very steep and wooded. Hence the use of dogs, because of course you could have taken a rest in any of those wooded or bushy areas. You could have slipped and fallen down one of those ravines. So this is a very difficult area. Hence the use of things like the drones as well. So we can only hope for a positive outcome, but I've got to be frank and say that will be very lucky if he's still alive after all this time out there.
Yeah, because we know that his mobile phone had run out of battery. He didn't have any water. He was attempting to walk back to his accommodation from a music festival, and the last sighting was him at a bus stop where a local spoke to him, and he said, "Oh, 2 hours for the next bus. I'm going to carry on walking." Mike, how long will they carry on searching?
Well, as far as I understand it, they're going to carry on until they find him, because what you can imagine is that tourism is the main economic site of this island. So they really want to find him and show they're doing everything they can to make sure, if he's still alive, that he's treated and taken to hospital as soon as possible. So I don't see an end to it, because we know that he's not left the island. His mum's got his passport. There's all sorts of social media speculation and conspiracy, but the police seem to be dismissing that, and they're really focusing on the fact that he was on his own and he was out walking in that remote area. It's been reported just today that there was another sighting, but this was very late, you know, some several hours later, of a young man with two other men. But again, the police will be following that up. There'll be teams involved in gathering CCTV. The road that goes through that area, people, of course, have got dash cams on their cars. Buses have got CCTV. So they'll be using every technique in every investigative way to try and find more images of him, see where he was. But as you've said, he had his mobile phone, and that pings off the different masts, and they know the last location. So it does give them a start point, and that's where they'll be going outwards from.
Mike, obviously you mentioned his family. His mum is there and has his passport, and obviously it must be absolutely awful what she's going through. How much support will be offered to the family and indeed his friends who he was out there with?
Right, so the Foreign Commonwealth Office will be heavily involved and be working with the Spanish authorities. And as I understand it, that the Spanish police have refused an offer of help from the Lancashire police. They said they've got enough resources. But the Lancashire police have said a specialist officer has been deployed. So I can imagine that's a family liaison officer.
And do you think, I mean, I hate to ask this question, but how many people do go missing who are simply never found again?
Very few. So when most people, you get thousands of people, tens of thousands reported missing in the United Kingdom, and most of them are returned home between 2 and 4 hours. Very few are missing for more than 24 hours. And so to vanish without trace is very, very unusual. There's a handful of cases, the likes of Madeleine McCann, for example.
Yes, of course.
There's not very many that vanish for that amount of time.
And
we can
Mike,
only
obviously,
hope, and my prayers with the parents.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And Mike, just quickly, we're running out of time. Social media can be a wonderful way of tracking people down, we know that, but it also can have its downside. How unhelpful is some of the stuff we are seeing posted on social media about this case?
Well, I think it's very, very unhelpful. I mean, the coroner of the Nicholas Bully case, if you remember, which he went missing into the river, he at the inquest he criticised how these social media conspiracies really did hinder, and were unhelpful to the police investigation. So you'd only hope if somebody's got real evidence, or a possible sighting, they'll put it forward. But you've got people hacking onto Instagram sites, you've got people flooding a Facebook page with conspiracy theories. These are really unhelpful, and I think the Spanish police have talked about the awfulness of the background noise in this case. And as I've said, they really are focusing on him being remote on his own rather than anybody kidnap him. And that seems to be the most realistic theory at the moment.